All right, great. Well, today, definitely we're looking forward to this, and it's a timely situation right now. We've been dealing with anti-Asian Pacific Islander hate ever since the COVID pandemic. So we thought it was very important to connect the small business community that has been impacted by this situation. So please, I'd like to bring all of our esteemed panelists to the stage, one by one. So as I call them up, I'll introduce them. We have FBI Civil Rights can't even speak today. Supervisory Special Agent David Collazo coming to the stage. And with us today is his colleague, which I have taken notes on, FBI Supervisory Special Agent George Boykins, and he's in charge of violent crimes. And we have Ash Alvandi. He is our District Director for California State. Dave Min. Dave Min is up in Sacramento now, so he's busy representing us there. Also, we have Don Han. He is the Director of Operations for the Orange County Human Relations, and he'll be speaking about all of what the county has been doing concerning hate crimes. City of Irvine Councilmember Tammy Kim, and she'll be speaking about all the great things she's doing for the City of Irvine and all the things that she's doing with the police department. And lastly, we have Nailing It for America co-founder and Advanced Beauty College President CEO, Dr. Tam Nguyen. Let's give everyone on stage a hand for this wonderful discussion. So hello, you cut me off already? All right. Okay, let me do a quick introduction for each of our panelists, and then we'll begin with a series of 3 questions, and toward the end, we'll have time for Q&A by all of you if you have questions about what's going on. So first of all, regarding the FBI, there's 56 field offices, also called divisions, centrally located in major areas across the U.S. and Puerto Rico. They are the places which carry out investigations, assess local and regional crime threats, and work closely with the partners on cases and operations. Each field office is overseen by a special agent in charge, except our offices in LA, New York City, and Washington, D.C., which are headed by an assistant director in charge due to the large size. Within these field offices are a total of about 350 resident agencies located in smaller cities and towns. And for us, they're located in the West LA area. It's cutting out here. Is the battery working here? Okay, so let's move on to California State Senator Dave Min. He was elected in 2020 to represent Orange County's 37th State Senate District, which includes the cities of Anaheim Hills, Costa Mesa, Huntington Beach, Irvine, Laguna Beach, Laguna Woods, Lake Forest, Newport Beach, Orange, Tustin, and Villa Park, a lot of cities. Dave is a native Californian who resides in Irvine with his wife, Jane, and their 3 young kids. Before joining the state Senate, Min was a law professor at UC Irvine, my alma mater, Zad, and where I taught and researched the area of business law. Next up, we have Don Han. He has been with the Orange County Human Relations Commission since 2001 for a while. Prior to becoming the Director of Operations, he was the Hate Crime Prevention Program Coordinator, responding to hate crimes and hate incidents in the county. In his time with the commission, Don has worked with the Bridges team. He has authorized the agency's hate crime report and provided hate crime training. Don serves on the board of the California Association of Human Relations Organization and was a former chair of GLSEN's Orange County chapter and a former Human Relations Commissioner for the City of Santa Ana. He also earned a sociology degree from Cal State Fullerton and certified mediator and speaks Lao and Thai. Next up, we have Councilmember Tammy Kim from the City of Irvine. She is a really good friend of mine. She's a mother, nonprofit leader, educator, advocate. She owns her own business, and a former corporate executive that lived in Irvine for the past 20 years. She was elected to City Council in November 2020, and historically beating out 13 other candidates to take first place. She garnered over 47,000 votes, which is the highest vote count in the city's history. She represents the city of Irvine and represents on different boards, and is very active with supporting her constituents in that city. Next up, lastly, we have Dr. Tan Nguyen. He is the co-founder of Nailing It for America and American Advanced Beauty College president. More than 40,000 graduates have gone through his innovative program in its past 33 history, with training that includes educators who speak English, Spanish, Farsi, and Vietnamese. Majority of the graduates are proudly employed in the beauty care industry, and with many becoming successful nail salon business owners and those in the beauty field. He, along with his sister Lynn, are proud owners of Advanced Beauty College, and is the 2020 recipient of the prestigious National Spirit Award. And I could go on, but he's been doing so much with this other movement called Nailing It for America, collecting more than 1.2 million medical grade masks, gloves, and other PPEs, and teaming up with the local restaurants in Orange County to provide more than 52,000 meals to the frontline workers. Tam is on the board of OC United Way. He's chair-elect of the Cal State Fullerton Philanthropic Foundation, president for the Garden Grove Community Foundation, past chairman of the Vietnamese American Chamber of Commerce, which he actually recruited me to be in the Vietnamese Chamber. So yeah, I think the Korean Chamber folks are like, hey, what are you doing here? I blame Tam. Great, thank you. So he's a family man. He's got 3 beautiful kids living in Fountain Valley with his wife, Christine. So let's give all panelists a hand, very esteemed panel. Thank you for your patience. So I'm going to ask each panelist 3 questions, and I'll allow you up to 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes to answer each one, okay? So the first one, how has your agency or organization been involved to address anti-Asian hate that has started since the COVID pandemic? And let's start out with the FBI first.
Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. It's my honor to be here with business leaders that really impact our community. And you guys, I'm hoping by me speaking today that I will reach to you how I've been reached by the impact of the crimes against our society, whether it's the Asian community, the Black community, the white community, the LGBTQ community. It's something that's very important to me. And you are being our leaders in the community. I'm hoping by me providing you some information that you can reach out to your workers, your co-workers, your family, and help us help you by reporting some of the crimes that you see out there, or some of the incidents of hate that are out there. Because we don't know what we don't know. We only usually find out if it's a big event, just like that happened Sunday here in our community, or we get tips from you guys. So one of the things that I want to make sure I do today is make sure you guys are aware. We have a tip number, call 1-800-CALL-FBI, or we have tips at FBI.gov. And so talk to your people, talk to your churches, talk to your family members, talk to your co-workers, that some communities are not as forthcoming with reporting to law enforcement, not trusting us, and not understanding what we do and how we can help. But I'm here today to tell you that we are here to help, and that we do take this seriously, and we do. I dedicated my life to law enforcement. I've been doing this for over 23 years, and now prior military before that. So I've been in the service to my community my whole adult life, and so this is something that I care about, something I'm passionate about, and working these hate crimes is really impactful for me on a daily basis, and I always want to give back to my community. So with the FBI, we've been doing this for a long time. This is our, in the criminal division, this is our second highest priority, is civil rights violators. And so what we cover hate crimes, we cover color of law violations, police brutality, police excessive force, and then we also cover the FACE Act violations where people try to interfere with people going to Planned Parenthood or any of the abortion clinics or any of those services that our community provides. So that's what I do on a daily basis. And in Westwood, I have 10 agents that's all we do every day, all day, is work these investigations. And like I said, that just what happened on Sunday, we are involved with that, and we need the community's help to help us to do this.
Thank you so much, Special Agent. Ash, representing California State Senator Dave Mims.
Thanks, Alex. I'll begin with saying I'm not Dave Min. I know it says my name next to his picture. Try to keep it oftentimes I'm mistaken for him. I know we look very similar.
Same question, by the way. What has your office been doing?
Thanks. I figured I'd introduce myself. Ash, my name is Senator Mims, District Director. I work alongside the Senator. Been in politics for about 10 years, on and off. When I'm not working in elections, I work doing academic research, sociological research on ethnic enclaves and ethnicity in both our social and political structures. So this is a very important subject to me. For the past 3 years, I've been able to work alongside the Senator, who has been taking the lead on a lot of issues. I'll go through that right now. Even before the pandemic and the rise in hate crimes, the Senator had been talking a lot about us needing to come together as a society and bringing together different organizations and building coalitions so that we could solve a lot of the or at least try to mitigate some of the issues. Specifically, over the last 2 years, we've hosted dozens of events around anti-Asian hate, working with a lot of folks in this room, including on this panel here. I've been a pleasure to work with. Senators attended hundreds of events, either myself or my staff has attended many, many more events, and it's been eye-opening to see what exactly we can do. But a lot of what we do as the Senate office is to work with you all. And again, that's coalition building, that's advocating on behalf of your needs, and I'll discuss some of the things we did towards that. We've introduced resolutions recognizing folks that are working towards anti-hate initiatives. We have led community building initiatives, including interfaith roundtables, working with minority businesses, NGOs, to continue to push the message of anti-hate through the community. But the Senator would say that we should put our money where our mouths are, and one of the things that the Senator was able to accomplish in his first year in the state legislature was one of the largest investments in the Asian community by the state, probably by the nation, in history. We were able to bring over $154 million from the state's budget towards API equity programs, specifically to combat, is that clapping? Thank you. That one person. 154. And just to give some perspective, that's about 10 times what New York did in the same year, the state of New York. So it is a historic investment. It's $110 million for victims and prevention. It's $30 million available through grants for nonprofits, including, again, many of you who are here, and as well as $10 million for ethnic media outlets, which I know there's someone here who is actually a grant recipient. Hey, how are you? So really excited to get the message out and help out with what you all do, and most importantly, following your lead on the different resources that we can provide folks to combat this.
Thank you so much, Ash. Wonderful resources from the state of California. Definitely follow up with them after the end. Don, representing the Orange County Human Relations Commission. Same question?
Morning. Thanks for
Yes.
having me here today. So my name is Don Han, Director of Operations with OC Human Relations. We're a nonprofit that created 30 years ago to support the County of Orange through the human relations work. One of our core missions and partnership with the county is responding to hate crime in Orange County. So what that means is that if law enforcement are responding to hate crime or hate incidents, we actually support by providing the direct support to the victim of hate crime and hate incidents. Now, oftentimes, law enforcement does not respond to hate incidents. For example, if someone's getting harassed or called names or being told to go back to your country, and they wanted to report those incidents, oftentimes law enforcement not respond to it. It's because it's not a crime. Our agency actually is one of the agency that actually responded to the crime and hate incident in Orange County and provide support and collaborate in partnership with the panelists that's on this panel, especially the different nonprofits in Orange County. What have we done? A lot of education, a lot of outreach, a lot of partnership, and anti-Asian hate is not new to Orange County. So when we talk about the start of the pandemic, of course, the start of the pandemic elevated that hatred toward Asian community. And we start seeing the trend at the very beginning of 2020. We notified the Board of Supervisors and different elected officials in our county, saying, hey, this trend is coming. Because we have seen a trend like this, similar to this, to different communities. For example, right after 9/11, we see the rise in anti-Middle Easterns or Arab community. And we've seen the trend because of the work we have done for decades. So we gave the heads up. We wanted to work with elected officials. We want to work with law enforcement. One thing that we do have an infrastructure here in Orange County that has been helpful for us is relationship building between organizations, relationship between community-based organizations that work with community members who may not be comfortable of reaching out to FBI or our local law enforcement, right? So hate crime and hate incident is so underreported. So for so many different factors. Maybe folks who experiencing it don't want to be re-traumatized or don't want to be speaking to law enforcement personnel because they feel that they may be jeopardizing their residential status or whatever the reason is. We all know that hate crime and hate incidents number is so underreported. So our hope is that local agency and nonprofit in particular that are so connected to small businesses, community members that are marginalized at the margin. Those are the things that we're feeling that we're being effective in and providing support. And it is alarming to see in Orange County in particular in 2020, typically, I've been with the agency for 20 years. In my 20-year experience, typically Asian American community only reported about less than 5 cases per year. Think about this. Less than 5 cases per year in 2000 to 2019. In 2020, we have 76 hate incidents cases reported and 47 hate crime in Orange County. So that's 1,800% increase in hate incident cases and 46% increases in hate crime. So that is very alarming. I'll stop there.
Thank you so much, Don. I'd like to hear what the city of Irvine has been doing regarding hate crimes, and she's symbolizing what our municipalities are doing. Given that city of Irvine is the #1 safest city in the U.S. according to the FBI, I think she's taken definitely a leadership role along with the city council on this. So definitely, what's been going on in the city of Irvine regarding hate crimes?
Hello. So within the city of Irvine, as many of you know, we are considered the safest city according to the FBI, city in America of our size, which is great. When I was elected though, and working for and advocating for the Asian American community in my capacity as a nonprofit leader, and working very hard to combat hate during the COVID pandemic and even before it escalated to, even before Atlanta had happened, already working in creating resolutions for cities to adopt to condemn anti-Asian hate. So this was even prior to my being elected. And really, after I was elected, seeing and again, we have the safest city in America, but yet no one in the city, in our public safety, had no idea what was actually happening to the Asian American community. The fact that I was elected and I had to tag our police department on social media so they would know that a hate crime and hate incident was occurring. So how does a regular resident who may have experienced anti-Asian incident, what are they to do if I, as a city council member, don't even know what to do? That I have to tag on Twitter a hate incident. And so the first city council meeting, I introduced an agenda item that would call for the city of Irvine and its police department to do its hate crime and hate incident reporting in 5 different languages. And so that was approved by the city council. And then even prior to the Atlanta shooting, we had it rolled out. And while there are nonprofit organizations such as OC Human Relations, which is doing a wonderful job, hate and hate incident reporting and knowing what is happening in your community cannot be outsourced. We have to, as a municipality, need to understand what is going on, especially in a city that is over 50% Asian American. And I think once we had that, it really sunk into our public safety officers because they talked a lot about working with OC Human Relations. Again, that is excellent, but we need every tool available in our tool chest, and it is important that our residents of Irvine, and especially our Asian American and not only Asian American, but anyone who might be linguistically isolated, whether that's Farsi, whether that's Spanish, that they know that they can go to our own police department and be able to report the hate incident and that it will be followed up on. The response should never be, oh, call this other nonprofit or call this other group. We should be able to do our own intaking, and that is exactly now what we're doing with the city of Irvine. So,
Thank you so much,
there's a lot more, and
Councilman.
we can talk about that.
Yeah, Tammy is known to be very calm. She's a very calm demeanor. And we're so glad. We're so glad that we need someone that's passionate, that really represents the people. So thank you so much for your service, Dr. Tan Nguyen. Same question, of course. And I know we worked together on this with Nailing It for America and all the wonderful things that you and your family has done for helping out the API cause. Please let us know what's been happening. I'm sure you have a lot to say.
I think, first of all, thank you, Brother Alex. Yeah, we've been working together so long in the community through the Vietnamese American Chamber of Commerce. Hi, my name is Tam Nguyen. In Vietnamese with the accent marks, my name is Tam Nguyen. I'm a second-generation owner from Advanced Beauty College right here in Garden Grove, Little Saigon. We own Advanced Beauty College, a 35-year family business that's graduated to 40,000, mostly males, graduates. Thus, going back to relationships, we're able to leverage that 35 years here in the ethnic enclave of Little Saigon, especially in our nails industry, where many Vietnamese, many nail salons, up to 80% here in California, are owned by Vietnamese immigrants. Thus, we started, when the start of the pandemic occurred, we started a movement called Nailing It for America in honor of our industry, the nails industry. And it was co-founded by 4 others, 5 in total, including myself, nail industry second generation owners, and we're all from this community here in Orange County. We started the movement in response to what was going on, the craziness that was going on in March of 2020, and we saw our frontline workers, we saw our healthcare professionals in these hospitals right here in our own backyard that were struggling to get masks in the ICUs and ERs. And so those were our family members and friends. So what we did was we mobilized and organized all of our nail salon participants, as well as our nail industry suppliers, to be able to give back. one generous family right here in Orange County stepped up immediately with $3 million worth of PPE for us to give, and we started distributing that. And of course, that eventually grew nationwide in the nail salon industry to $30 million worth of PPE in all the major markets and all the major ethnic enclaves throughout the U.S. in the nails industry to give back to the frontline workers. To date, we were building a lot of goodwill during that time. Where to date we've distributed 80 million restaurant meals distributed. These are all Little Saigon-based restaurants. Shout out to the Orange County restaurants here, and we saw 3 generations working, and many of them in the kitchen, back kitchen with grandmas, sons and daughters. These are all restaurants and nail salons that were closed, mind you, and hurting and still paying rent, and yet still giving because they saw others who needed it more. We worked with the youth to make 2,000 thank you cards throughout Orange County to give to healthcare professionals. We also partnered with our COVID testing sites, our major COVID testing sites, whether it's Disney or the OC Fairgrounds, and we partnered with them and did outreach into the communities. They ended up doing 400,000 COVID-19 tests within our network in Orange County, and more than 60,000 of those ended up positive cases. We also did vaccine drives. We partnered with Project Vietnam Foundation and other physicians here in Orange County, and we distributed 3,000 vaccines during the height of the pandemic through 15 drive-through events, reaching our most vulnerable residents that are hard to reach. Ash had mentioned the $154 million that the Senator Min and others at the state level. We were part of that in distributing and in organizing, working with so many partners here in the community, and we were able to organize and involve the Nailing It group ourselves to 10 candlelight vigils, marches, and other news events. Not only did we do most of those events were in Orange County, but Alex even joined us for the ones in downtown LA and what have you. Through that, we were able to very strategically to leverage news media. We're today on 1,284 news captions for the Nailing It for America team in stories in print, radio, TV, and online outlets that went worldwide. To date, we've tracked 8.8 million impressions and continue to leverage that PR so that we can have a voice for our group. Those are some updates from Nailing It for America.
Thank you, Tim. That's wonderful. This is a good example of how a small business owner is able to contribute in their own way, despite the COVID pandemic affecting their businesses, and being able to pivot using all the PPEs that you've donated to, but yet still receiving hate from certain members of your community because of transfers of anger, blaming a certain group for their employment issues, and it's really about education and working closely together with our small business leaders, but also with our elected officials and our government department agencies. They're here to work for you. So my next question really revolves, and then we'll go popcorn style about this. So, we've had that recent incident, awful situation, Laguna Hills, Laguna Woods, a Taiwanese church. And this is very unique because, typically it's anti-Asian hate, but this is one intra-Asian Chinese, allegedly, upon a Taiwanese group. It's still hate, right? And, we had 3 Korean women, shot at in Texas, last week. We had in New York, we had inside a shopping center that's 10 African Americans shot by a white supremacist. We have these continuous incidents happening within the last 2 years, and of course even more. Don has mentioned this has been always going on, but only amplified. So can you tell us, or any of the panelists, about what's going on with the Laguna Woods incident and current hate crimes situations going on? I don't know if Ash, you want to talk about what it's in your district that's been happening.
Sure, thanks. I'd say the investigation is still in its preliminary phases. We can say that 4 individuals were injured. 1 has passed away, a gentleman by the name of Dr. Chang, who I say his name because his heroic actions were able to save many, many more lives at that tragic incident. The individual the shooter, had planned to do a lot more damage, and again, those actions were the ones that were able to, prevent this issue. And I think, the question I have here was, do we think things have changed? And as we're moving to meeting in person, and this was an in-person meeting, and we are all more exposed when we're out in public. We're on transit, we're in our meeting places, we're at venues like this, and I think there is no signs of things slowing down. And the frequency of both hate and gun violence incidents have continued to increase. I will say one specific thing that we are doing to try to combat this problem as things are opening back up. The senator has introduced a bill, 1161, Senate Bill 1161, in conjunction with Stop AAPI Hate, the national organization that you all are probably familiar with, to require the 10 largest state transit agencies to create protocols and systems and implement them to stop hate incidents or harassment incidents amongst their ridership. This could be anything from higher reporting to specific ridership availability for minority groups. And as we open up, I think that's somewhat pertinent, and apologies for getting off topic there, but anyone, actually I guess that's exactly the topic, so anyone want to go next maybe? Tammy?
Yeah, Tammy, recently she hosted the California State Attorney General, Rob Bonta, to talk about the current situation at hand, but also any AAPI issues. So I don't know, Tammy, are you scheduled, or Don, you want to speak?
If it's okay, I'll
Yeah,
go first.
go ahead.
So the question was, what has changed since 2001 and now? Unfortunately, the trend have not really been slowing down in terms of the number of cases that we see. One other thing I do want to point out that might be a little bit harder for us to talk about as folks who work with hate crime and hate incidents. We also have seen the trend of BIPOC elected officials being targeted here in our county. Even a board of supervisors member have been targeted with racial slurs, with things like, you shouldn't speak on behalf of America. So what that message is sending to us is that no matter how many generations we've been here as Asian American, we're still an outsider. Think about that. And my voice quivered a little bit, because my family's been here for almost 50 years. And to have been told, go back to your country, that's hard to swallow, right? And at the same time, as you have seen, we're an advocate for resources, not to support only the Asian community, but all communities. When the pandemic hit the world, a lot of front line workers, and many of us Asian American are part of that. Even as you handle out food or PPE equipment, you're being told to go home to your country. So one of the things that we continue to do as a county is working with each other in a way in solidarity to support each other. Even last night, the two of us were at the event, a vigil that bring interfaith network together to talk about how can we be with each other in solidarity to combat hate. Because hate have no boundary, cut all across who we are. So one of the things that continued to happen here in Orange County was legislation that being introduced. And from that, there's some funding that came along as well that was supporting us to do this work. And quite frankly, I think that we're gonna need all partnership. We're gonna need partnership from small businesses, large corporations, elected official, of course, and the voice that needs to be there to represent all of our community. And how do we combat hate together?
Thank you. And as a time check, we have about 10 more minutes of discussion, and then we'll open up for Q&A for the audience if they have questions about this.
Sure, and I think the question about what has changed, so we look at things and we look at the Atlanta shooting, we look at how, women, Asian women in Texas were targeted, or a Asian woman was pushed on the subway in New York, another Asian woman followed and murdered to death in her own apartment. And so you talk about what has changed. And so you think about, you have to go back to 1875 with the Page Act, which is really, we're talking about the intersection of racism and misogyny that has perpetuated in this country. And we as people, as residents, and understanding that our women and our seniors are some of the most vulnerable and that are being attacked. Also, when we talk about, whether it's public officials, whether it's xenophobia, whether people come into council chambers or legislative chambers and insult you in person and directly and have xenophobic reactions to you, all of this happens. And again, so sometimes you think, what has changed since 1875? But it is up to each and every one of us here. Like, we are the change, and everyone here on this panel, and what we can do, how we can push our community, how we can push our state legislature. And lastly, well, I guess they're on two fronts. One is representation on media and what we can do to push that. Secondly, representation when it comes to Asian American studies within our curriculums at school. So those are some things that we can do to help combat what's been happening to us since 1875.
Now, Councilmember, I want you to highlight, maybe just for a couple minutes, what you experienced. Remember, this is a public official, right? On the dais in front of a live audience, okay? So just mention quickly what happens, because this is something that it doesn't matter if you're an elected official, you will get targeted about racism right there. If you want to share it.
How many of you guys? Okay. Oh yeah, okay. So, you know what happened? Okay. I mean, it's uncomfortable to talk about, but basically, members of the community coming into city council meeting, telling me that I need to be grateful for being to veterans, which I am, for being in this country. And that's kind of where I'll leave it. But the fact that I, as an American, was told that I was freed, and that my freedom, only my freedom, was dependent on U.S. soldiers. So, and that not only happened once, it happened like several times.
Yeah.
And so I finally shouted out, I'm an American, and this is my country.
So thank you for sharing that. I know it's personally difficult, but let's give her a hand for that, because what's the most concerning thing, what happened that time, and this received national media attention. This is how important this issue is. That after that person commented that, saying that she should be grateful, the members of the audience in city council chambers applauded him, right? Cheered him for saying that. So,
by the way, it was not a Trump right winger.
No.
But a Democrat.
So,
I'm a Democrat.
Yeah. So. And we're in a polarized society, so we know that about the effects of social media putting us in echo chambers, even amplifying the belief systems within your own group. So there's definitely many different issues. So I'll leave it as that, since we have about 6 minutes left.
One more
Don, go ahead.
I do want to share that I know it's hard for a councilwoman to talk about her experience. She's not the isolated case. I want to share that. But I also want to honor all of the other elected officials, especially elected women officials, that get together in 2020, so many different times to speak at press conference, or to speak even in their own chamber about having a voice, combating hate, all together. So I wanted to share that because it's so important that we know that there are so many great leaders, including our councilwoman here, that are battling this hate on almost every meeting. So.
Thank you so much. And just a reminder, actually, a special agent, David Palazzo, talked about the 1-800 tip line. It is available on our app, so we'll make sure that 1-800-CALL-FBI is important. Also, they're available on FBI.gov. So any resources, and also toward the end, if you want to speak with our special agents, you could get information that way. So going back to the issue at hand, so besides what has been changed, what do you think, and any of the panelists that speak about this, what do we need to do in the future? It's great to pass bills and support our legislators at the local, state, and federal levels. What do we need to do, in your opinion, from your experience, either as a small business owner, nonprofit, or a government official or agency?
I'll start. I wanted everybody to know that the mission of the FBI is to protect the Constitution and protect the American people. And one of our first amendments is freedom of speech. And sometimes there's a lot of confusion of what a hate crime is, because there's hate speech, there's a hate incident, and there's a hate crime. All of them are important to the FBI, and all of those are important to your local law enforcement in your communities. And so again, we have to report these so we can do something about it. If it's underreported or not reported, it's hard for us to put resources towards it at something we don't know, because there's so many things going on in our society, in our communities, that are being reported, are being covered by the media, that we have to respond to those, and we shouldn't. And so hate speech is, a lot of it's covered by freedom of speech. And so it is an indicator, it is an incident, and it should be reported, because once we get those reports and we see that there is a trend happening, we can investigate and we can follow up and try to stop it before it turns into something that is violent. And that's what we do. We investigate the violent crimes that have a hate bias nexus. And so my partner here, he gets a violent crime that occurs, and I look at it, was there any bias, was there any hate related to it? Because we want to make sure that it stops. So again, to reiterate, we have to report it so we can respond to it. One thing that has changed, we've been going out to the local PDs and making sure that all the patrol officers who respond to any incident, traffic accidents, robbery, any type of report, that they have a box that they can check on their police report that says hate crime, or a hate crime nexus, or a hate crime indicator. And then that gets into the system where we can follow up at a national level and a broader level. And so that's what's changed from us, and us doing these community events, because the FBI has been not in the background, but we're first responders. The local police are first responders, so that's why we went out to train the first responders, so they will come to us also if you guys can't access us. But that's why I gave out my information for the 1-800 number. But that's what I wanted to push out there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other, we have a couple minutes left before we open it up.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, just from a small business owner's perspective, and a member of ABAOC, and someone who's active within our ethnic chambers like the Vietnamese chamber, etc. I know we can do more, we can collaborate. When I look at my fellow panelists here, I've seen them lead through this pandemic. Multiple events, they're there, they're always there. Our elected officials, Orange County Human Relations taking the lead when it comes to hate. No one's an expert on hate. And every time, when that Atlanta incident occurred, I just remember going to our Garden Grove mayor. I remember going to our Garden Grove city, and we worked with our police chief, Garden Grove Police Chief Tom DeBray and his team. They all said, let's bring Orange County Human Relations to the table. Councilmember Kim came, we held a news event and immediately we addressed this. What can we do as small businesses? We can collaborate, we can get our industry. Right now, as of right now, we in Garden Grove can host at your small business. I'll be happy to collaborate with those of you in here. At our own business, we can get together as small businesses so that the police chief can come, so that the FBI can come and educate us on how to report, on how you can get the Orange County District Attorney there. We can learn how to report and come together as a bigger voice. Other than that, as small business owners, we have to be players and unite in terms of the procurement. There are big companies out there. We know Orange County, as well as other Southern California neighboring counties, it's majority minority. 60 to 75% are minority. If we're part of that minority group, we have to come together to be able to participate and to be organized in our voice, our united voice, not only to continue to get funding from our state leaders, which have been led for this, for the anti-Asian hate, but also for procurement and participate in the larger contracts with the major companies. I think those are practical things that we could do together, even as a small business. Sometimes it feels so daunting in something so large as hate or a procurement with a large company. Thanks.
So 1 minute each for closing remarks. Go ahead.
Yeah, just to wrap it up again, I want to extend an appreciation. I'm here every day. I'm the supervisor who oversees violent crime investigations for the FBI in Orange County. My colleague, Supervisor Special Agent Collazo, and I work hand in hand on these matters. We are here at your service, and I don't know, well, I do know. The FBI hasn't done a good job historically to expose that. We've been on a roadshow for the last 2 years, trying to allow for the community to get to know us a little better, because it is your service. So that's what this is. I hope you hold us accountable for that. Please hold us accountable for that. Lastly, I just want to make another plea to our common humanity. There's a lot of stuff going on out there, and we're living in an age where the information is real time, but the facts may not be. Know your neighbor, get to know each other, let's love each other, and move forward together as a country. Thank you again for having me, and be safe out there.
I'd say, in closing, one of the key reasons I work for the senator and continue to believe in him is because I think the long-term goal and long-term vision of continuing to serve and continue to combat these issues. I grew up here in Orange County. The senator has 3 young children in public schools here in Orange County, and we know that these issues are prevalent throughout our society. But representation is not. We have Councilmember Tammy Kim here. We have the Mayor Jung here. The senator is actually one of 2 APIs in the state Senate. Of 16% population in California, we have 2 API. Might be the only state senator that is API at the end of the year. And given that, I think he would say we need to continue to come together. We need to continue to empower each other, to educate, and make changes that will help not only just the API community, but all communities come together and unite, as the gentleman so eloquently said.
I wanted to thank all my panelists for being here. One other thing that we want to make sure that we all know is that resources like as high as the FBI all the way to our local municipal PD are the resources for our community, and also other organizations, nonprofit, businesses. All these partnerships are so necessary for us to help each other, to be with each other when it's time that's needed to heal, to tragedies or anything like that. So unfortunately, such as the event that happened on Sunday, reminded us that we're not exempt on things that we see in the world or as a nation. As we're coming back from this pandemic in person, like the Supervisor The FBI said, we have to see each other humanity. And what that means is that let's celebrate our differences. Let's celebrate our diversity. Because Orange County is one of the most diverse communities in this nation. And let's do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Don.
So in closing, there's I think several things that we can do today. This is a room full of leaders, whether business leaders, community leaders. When you see something, say something. Encourage those around you to report, not to be silent and not to say, well, it doesn't matter, it wasn't a big deal anyway. They should be reporting. They should be, if their own police department isn't reporting, if you live in the city of Irvine, you should report. Otherwise, you should be calling OC Human Relations or encouraging those that you know to call OC Human Relations if they may have encountered or know of someone who've encountered an incident. Additionally, we need to hold our elected leaders accountable for not only supporting our API community, but advocating for our community as well. So whether they are APIs themselves or not, we have to hold them accountable. Hold me accountable to represent and advocate and continuously advocate for our community. And then lastly, and not lastly, but thirdly for today, is we need to fight and advocate for Asian American studies being taught in our schools, okay? So we have each and every one of you here can help advocate for that in your respective school districts. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Thank you. In closing, it's events like today that bring us together, fellow business community leaders. It's a safe space to talk about a very heavy subject. Unfortunately, the word hate is just so heavy, it's such a negative word. And had to say it more in the last 2 years than any previous time in my life. I have the honor of serving on a public agency here in Orange County at the Orange County Transportation Agency, as well as a private company, Genesis Bank, as an AAPI leader on those boards at the highest level. These are organizations that also believe deeply in DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. If there's an opportunity for you as business leaders, community leaders, and you want to connect, please connect with me, any of the panelists during lunch, because I know we're all busy with our families. I know we're all busy running our small business. I know the time we have left outside of that and the energy we have left outside of it is very little, but we need to take action and we need to do this. Our kids are watching. It affects the next generation. Let's do that together. Lastly, tonight, I, along with Don, will be at a Nailing It for America news conference. We're hosting it at the Viet Heritage House in Santa Ana with, and not only as we mourn what happened in Laguna Woods, but also, unfortunately, a grim milestone in America of 1 million COVID deaths is going to be reached within the next 24 hours. This has affected all of us. So with that, fellow APIs, fellow other friends and allies and leaders in Orange County, look forward for a better future, and I have a lot of hope. Thank you.
Once again, please give a round of applause to our panelists. Wonderful.